Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video, and welcome to something quite different. Because what you're looking at right here is retail WoW. So let me explain the situation. You see, I've always talked about retail WoW during my live streams, my videos, and how much I don't like it. But to be fair, that was all based on other people's information. I've never given today's version of WoW a fair shot. Until now. I had some spare time left and I figured I wanted to ask the question that has been on my mind for quite some time. Will I actually like retail WoW if I tried it? So for the people that don't know my background, let me fill you in real quick. I started playing World of Warcraft very early on when it was still vanilla WoW. I played a druid as my main character called Mariku on the server Dragonmaw, and I later moved with my guild to the server Frostmane. I've done all the raiding content from Molten Core to Naxxramas, though me and my guild never managed to clear that raid there. I had a ton of time invested in my character, including a majority of tier 2 items, tons of balance gear, exalted with various reputations, and I believe I was either rank 6 or rank 7 in PvP. So I guess you can say I'm a WoW veteran, but even someone like me who is much more of a fan of the older version of the game would be lying if I wasn't interested in what exactly today's version of WoW looked like. Bear in mind, it has been 12 years since I touched retail WoW, and despite seeing a couple of videos on Battle of Azeroth, I didn't really know what to expect. To make it fair though, I decided to start with a clean slate and keep an open mind. Speaking of a clean slate, I wasn't really interested in actually buying World of Warcraft and just getting a free high level character. No, I wanted to see what it would be like to start at the absolute beginning of the game. No heirlooms, no boosts, just you and your level 1 character. So let's start with the leveling. To me, leveling was a mixed bag. I have to give credit to Blizzard and say that the quests are a lot more varied and engaging. With that I mean that when you fight the Quillboar in the Tauren starting area, you can see other NPCs battling with them, so it does feel like you're trying to push off attacks. And when you free Tauren from their cages, they show dialogue, run away, etc. The thing that shocked me the most though was how you just never seem to run out of mana. And after a close inspection, I saw that my offensive abilities didn't cost any mana, so I was free to just spam whatever spells I had. This kind of blew my mind, as I'm still used to only being able to use a few spells at low level and then have to regain mana. Now, while that sounds a lot more tedious, it means you do have to take a second look at your spells and figure out when you should use one over another. Here though, I just didn't really care. Sure, I might kill a mob a little slower if I use spell A over spell B, but who cares? I don't lose significant amounts of mana, and on top of all, the chance of me dying is second to none, and that's probably one of my biggest problems when I was leveling. I never died. Hell, I never even got close to dying, even when I went out of my way to pull a pack of mobs. While I kinda enjoyed the quests for what they are, none of them offered me any type of challenge. It was all just incredibly easy. Honest to God, I was kinda bored the entire time I was leveling. I was waiting for something exciting to happen. Some NPC I had to kill which actually would hit like a truck. Something that would make me reconsider the way I killed mobs. But there was just nothing like that. It also meant that getting new gear just didn't do anything for me. Sure, it made me do a bit more damage or have a bit more health. But when you create a world where leveling is easy, gear becomes a lot less of a necessity. This is why I love the older expansions so much. Because leveling was so much harder, gear mattered way more, so you really felt excited once you got the Emberstone staff from the Deadmines, or the Venom Strike bow as a hunter when you were doing Wailing Caverns. Gear could mean the difference between life or death in, let's say, vanilla WoW. Here, it just means you get to kill the mobs a little bit faster. Alright, let's talk about dungeons. So when I got to level 15, I did a couple of dungeons, including Ragefire Chasm, Wailing Caverns, and Deadmines. Did I like these? Nope, not really. First of all, when your group is ready and you spawn at the beginning of the instance, there are NPCs that give you all the quests you can do for that specific dungeon. I'll be honest and say I didn't like this at all. I mean, I get why Blizzard did this, because now you just have to take 4 seconds to get all the quests and off you go. But it just kills exploring and having to run around a bit. I remember wanting to do Wailing Caverns in Classic WoW, and there was this one quest in there that would give you the Crescent Staff, which, to my memory, was my very first blue item I obtained on my Tauren Druid. But you didn't just get that quest when you walked into the instance. You had an entire quest chain which took you from the Crossroads to the Oases in the Barrens to Thunderbluff. It meant you actually had to travel around and explore a bit. Because of this, you saw people running around town trying to see if there was some random quest tucked into a corner that would actually be part of the dungeon you were about to run. They were talking in general chat saying, hey, where's that one quest from Ragefire Chasm? And then some random guy would help them out by giving him directions. And then you would look at that and go, wait, that's the dungeon I want to run. I better check out that place that guy was talking about. It was just one of the many factors that really added to the social aspect of the game. But I digress. So, running the actual dungeon with my party was just... I guess the best way to describe it is a complete shit show. Again, this is just because I actually like the idea of marking targets, using CC like sheep and whatnot to clear packs of mobs, but it was just way too easy, not engaging at all, and just overall really boring. I actually queued up as a healer at one point while being balanced, and it barely made a difference. Hell, at some points I didn't bother to heal at all, because the tank who was decked out in heirlooms barely got any damage. Another thing that really contributed to the dungeons feeling lackluster is the fact that the necessity of gear is pretty much gone. I never got excited when I got a new blue item, because it just doesn't really matter that much in this version of World of Warcraft. But at least I got to do some gearing up. I mean, I can't imagine running around in full heirloom gear and not even having that aspect of switching out items, because those heirlooms are so overpowered that you will wear them for ages until you find something better. So the whole gearing up part of WoW is almost gone too, which is something I always loved. I liked having to start with crap gear and earning your way to better gear. I liked having that sense of being incredibly weak, but slowly but surely being able to do more damage because you're getting better and better gear. Speaking of gear, I can't really grasp my head around the way loot works here. So when a boss dies, everyone gets personalized loots. Probably to get rid of people trying to ninja loot stuff, but you don't just get loot, you have a chance of getting an item, which doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, in Vanilla WoW you always had a chance to get an item because first it needs to drop and then you need to win the roll. What I just don't understand is that you get to see what other people win. Why? If we kill a boss and I get nothing, why does the game insist on showing me what other people got? Is it trying to mock me and say, you got jack shit, but look at what that other guy got? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. What I also noticed is that some quest mobs are invincible, so you can't even fail certain quests. For example, the Disciple of Naralex in the Wailing Caverns. Normally you have to help him fight off the mobs or else he'll die and you can start all over again. Here, he got to 1 health but just never died. So again, people just ran off and pulled a whole bunch of other shit before finally going back there saying, oh yeah, we should probably help this dude out too. One thing I did like though was the fact that here he doesn't walk 1 mile an hour, so I guess there's that. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the way dungeons work now. None of the dungeons I did offered any type of challenge, none of them were exciting, and there was just no sense of accomplishment I felt when I completed one. And of course, this being cross-server now, it meant everyone left without saying goodbye or anything of the sort, and the chance you'll bump into them is probably very low. That's another thing I have against the Dungeon Finder. It just seems like the majority of players is just farming dungeons over and over again, which means I barely ever encountered someone in the world. I mean, for a game that classifies itself as an MMORPG, there was not a whole lot of massive multiplayer stuff going on, just the occasional player who ran by. Oh, by the way, that's another huge reason why I didn't like Retail WoW. The world itself and the way it portrays itself. You see, leveling in Vanilla WoW is a challenge, all the way from level 1 to 60. You could die by even making the slightest of mistake. For instance, accidentally pulling one more mob because you moved 3 feet in the wrong direction. Because of this, you look at the world you're in as a world where you always need to be on your guard, where you always need to be on your toes, whether it's by tough mobs or enemy players that can gank you. It adds a sense of danger and excitement that is really important in keeping leveling interesting and rewarding. During my time playing here on retail, the world just felt like a joke. I realized that the higher level content is probably much more exciting, and feel free to correct me if it isn't, But the low level content, it just did nothing for me. I mean, how could it, when I'm leveling my fresh character and out of nowhere, some level 7 comes charging in on his mount and his heirlooms and proceeds to bunny hop around the area, pulling all the mobs there, killing them without a sweat, summoning his mount again and then run off in the distance. What does that add to the world? It makes me look at the encounters I have to face like they're just some sort of a joke. I also did Battlegrounds for a little bit, and I have to say that I had the most fun here, mainly because you were battling enemy players who actually offered you a good challenge. So I actually had a bit of fun trying to capture points in the Arathi Basin while being undergeared compared to the other players in this bracket. So I guess you can tell that I didn't really like my time leveling from 1 to 20 here on Retail WoW. I guess what it boils down to is that it's too streamlined, too convenient, and because of that, there's no sense of accomplishment, danger, or excitement to be found in the world anymore. I'm glad I gave Retail WoW a fair chance, and I'm glad to now know for sure that Retail WoW just isn't my thing. I'll be looking out for when they release Classic, so I can once again die from pulling 2 mobs instead of 1, or getting backstabbed by a rogue in Stranglethorn Vale. And that's gonna do it for today. As always, I want to thank you for watching this video. I'm Hamsterwheel, and have a good one.